Hi, I'm Isla Patterson from Purple Radio, and today I'm joined by the up-and-coming singer-songwriter Tadhg Daly. So, hi Tadhg, thank you for virtually joining me this afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thanks too. It's a bit rainy up here in Durham, but it's
Okay.
okay. Have
Durham,
to,
I don't, excuse my ignorance, but I don't know where Durham is. Is it near Newcastle?
yeah, it's about 10 minutes on the train from Newcastle, right at the top of the UK.
Very near. Yeah, nice.
And so, congratulations on your most recent release, Novacaine, which has also just been released as an edit with Jole. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did like a kind of, I guess it's like a remix, but it's actually softer than the original song, so we call it like a Jolie edit.
And it's quite a heavy and emotional song. Could you tell me a bit about its meaning?
Yeah, it's a funny song actually because it's about lots of different things. There's like obviously there's a story sort of to it, but it's like quite non-linear, you know what I mean? So depending on what mood I'm in, I feel like it's about something different. Um, but I think it's about not, I suppose, not being accepted perhaps in certain stages of your life, particularly as a kid, or feeling that way anyway. And then sort of having unhealthy outlets for that sort of pain, you know. Um, so I suppose, it's about it could sometimes about substance abuse in a way. It's about um, sort of personal relationships with people not being quite what we'd like them to be, maybe. Yeah, a few different things.
Great, thanks. So that's kind of one form of a collaboration, I guess, like a remix or an edit. But I also saw that you collaborated with the Irish artist Etain. I hope I'm
Attain,
pronouncing Etain.
attain,
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
trying with the Irish names, but it's
yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
But yeah, that
Crazy.
was on Not Over You. And how did that collaboration come about?
Yeah, we sort of became friends, really, I suppose, um, through working together on that song. Are now friends. I mean, but it was her A&R, her label, um, connected us, uh, and I sort of didn't really know him. I forget exactly how we met, but he spoke to me saying that he just messaged me saying, "Oh, I work with this amazing Irish artist. I think you guys should do a collaboration on a song." So I was like, "All right," but then it never happened because it was kind of in the pandemic when he said that and stuff. And then like a year later, maybe about a year later, finally we had a session and we wrote that song in like the first couple of hours. That was the first time we met each other, and then um, just kind of like released it, I guess.
Did you find that the pandemic influenced the way you kind of wrote music in a way a lot or your creative process?
Mm, massively, yeah. Well, I had loads of time to figure out how I wanted to do it, so it was actually um, good for me in that way. Obviously, not in lots of other ways like everyone else, but it sort of gave me a bit of respite to sit and figure out maybe how to get better at writing songs and things like that, and figure out a workflow that works for me.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned the first steps of how I do it now in the pandemic.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that say it's kind of the break that they never knew they needed, and it gave them like a chance to kind of work on something that they didn't normally have
Yeah,
time to work on. So,
totally. I mean, like I worked in a coffee shop at the time, and it was like because we could do the takeout through the window kind of stuff. And we just did like you work there from what I don't know, like 8 or 9 in the morning till like 3 p.m. and then there's no socializing going on. So like you have
yeah,
all the afternoon and evening. And I lived
yeah.
with my producer too, so it was like we just kind of like really knuckled down and did a load of stuff. It was good.
And then I saw you recently supported Michael Malarkey on his tour. How did
Yeah,
you find that whole experience?
it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. It was insane. I couldn't believe it. Like I've actually not been to many places in Europe. Well, I mean I have now, obviously, but I hadn't at the time. So you had the travel aspect of it, which is great because you see, not that you really get a chance in most places unless you have a day off to see like the the city, but like still, it's cool, right? To drive through places and stuff. Um, but then playing to people every night, oh my god, I've never felt as like held and noticed, you know.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I'm still on like a post tour come down, and it's been like 7 months or something.
Do you have anything you like to do to kind of have that wind down after a tour? Is there anything like to relax a bit afterwards?
Um, I just was like, I was actually quite sad when I came back because it was my first tour, proper tour, you know. And I struggled a lot with post-tour like depression. I thought it was like a funny little thing people talked about, and I was like, oh, that's funny, isn't it? You'd be sad for a couple of days, but I really was struggling actually when I came back, which is a very
Yeah.
privileged thing to have depression about, but it felt intense, you
Yeah.
know.
I guess
Um,
when you've had a really full on kind of series of weeks and you're meeting new people all the time, seeing new places, and then you come back to kind of wherever you're living, back to routine, it's like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, what I did is the saving grace for me was just like I just went to the gym, and I really like sports and stuff, so I played a lot of like football and things like that, and I
yeah,
tried to actually not become obsessed with doing the next music thing, if you know what I mean, because it
yeah.
wouldn't have really lived up. So I just did like other hobbies that I enjoy instead.
So you've said football. What other ones do you kind of do to?
I like to
Yeah,
box as well.
yeah,
Very into boxing. And I was massively into running, but I had a knee surgery, so I had to
yeah.
take that on the back burner. I can just about go back to football and running now. So actually, just after the tour, so it came at a very good time because I was
Yeah,
I was so unfit as well that it was a nice moment to like dig into trying to achieve something, you know.
yeah, definitely. And do you have before you perform a show or maybe after a show, do you have any like pre or post performance rituals that you have? Yeah,
Um, no, nothing that's particularly interesting. I mean, I have little things I do, I guess. Like you know, I think in a certain way before and after the show, but I don't think it like manifests itself like into I have to do this physical thing before or after the show, you know.
yeah. And then so you play guitar, and there any other instruments that you can also play?
Yeah, I play drums, um, but I don't because I live in London for so long. I haven't had a drum set because you can't get a drum set up
Yeah,
anywhere. Um, so I'm a bit out of practice there. But that was like my actually my first instrument. I think was drums. Um, and I'm a very, very bad keys player. So I wouldn't even say I could play keys. I can just about, if I'm recording something, I can play it enough where I have to then edit it to make it sound good. Um, and other than that, no, I'm not a particularly like fast multi instrumentalist. I'm more focused on, I suppose, like top line and lyrics and things like that as my like passion in the music side, I guess.
yeah. And with that, do you have any exciting projects coming up with music releases? You've been releasing quite a few different singles and EPs the past couple of years. What's next?
Yeah, yeah, I've got my second EP, which is the one that Novacaine's on. Actually, everything I've released this year actually is part of this EP. Um, is coming out on the uh, the 11th of November. Um, and it's got two songs that haven't been released yet coming out on it. So I'm excited to put that out. 'Cause I think the single that comes out in the day is the best song from the EP. So I'm looking forward to that. And I've just written the follow-up EP as well. I've nearly finished recording it. I've all next week I'm finishing recording it. Um, and then that'll be for next year. So
Great. And are you recording in London?
yeah, in Strong Room in Shoreditch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's good. And do you have a mini autumn tour coming up? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's
As
just
well?
like, I mean, it's like not really a tour. It's
A
like three,
mini tour.
yeah, because we had two dates cancelled on it, so it's become super mini. But now it's just London, then Utrecht, and then Paris. Um, and it'll be my first actually headline shows outside of the UK ever. Because obviously the tour that I did earlier in the year, I was the support act, right? Um, and I've only ever been the support act, so that's scary and exciting.
Yeah, and hopefully when you go to Utrecht and Paris, you get to do a little bit of tourism as well when you're there.
Yeah, well, I actually, because of these other shows getting cancelled, I have like a bunch of free days, so I've kind of
Oh,
got a lot
great.
of holiday
Yeah.
time. And like I have some days, you know, where it's like, oh, I have to go to Holland on this day, but it's to do like a radio thing, I think. So it's like maybe only in the morning, and the whole day is free. So which is great.
Great. Well, thank you so much for speaking to me today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I
And
appreciate it.
good luck with your next releases and your tour, your mini tour.
Thank you very much. Yeah.